Hey y'all, welcome back to our Very Bookish channel, and I'm in my car because I am going to Barnes because guess what today is? I give you a hint. It is Tuesday, February 6th. It's the release date of The Teacher by Freida McFadden, and I am so very excited. So we are going to Barnes now. So on my way to Barnes, I was able to find The Gift. It's a short novella by Freida McFadden. Jen read it over the December holiday, and I thought it would be great to listen to on my way to Barnes.
Alright guys, I am back from Florida and I brought the sunshiny warm weather out. Even though it's February in Ohio, we are hitting a high of I think 60 today, which is fantastic because I love like 60 to 75 and preferably around 70 to 75 is like my favorite weather. And I made it home and found, as you guys saw, latest from Freida at the airport. I was gonna pick it up at Barnes & Noble. And as you will see, I'm going to show you a bunch of screenshots from Facebook and all the different groups I'm in that kept talking about, and I know it's my fault, I shouldn't be looking, but everyone kept praising and saying how much they loved it and found it. And I know Freida very much encourages them to talk about finding it and reading it and what page are you on and everything.
I can't give it tonight. And I was your best friend, and now I'm just losing all of my senses, and I just can't go there. Yeah, I was your best friend, and now I'm just losing all of my senses, defenses. Yeah, I can't believe it, I'm getting feelings, I gotta leave this, and I just can't go there. Yeah, I was your best friend, and now I'm just losing. Just can't go there. Wanna get you out of my head. Wanna get you back again. Wanna know if you can still be my friend. Yeah. Is it too late for me to save?
But highly influenced me. I had just finished the latest Sophie Cousins book that I read. And it's not her latest, it's actually her first, and I needed a book for the plane ride home, and I didn't want to wait. Even though I had other books that I brought with me on vacation, I didn't want to start something because I knew I was going to read Freida when I got home. So I picked up The Teacher at the DC airport. So thank you, at the DC Reagan airport. I can't remember the name of their store that you'll see in the video, but I was very, very grateful because the Fort Lauderdale airport did not have it.
What?
But the DC airport did. So I started it and I'm already over 100 pages in because it is extremely compulsively readable. I couldn't put it down on the plane ride, and I was very disappointed. Even as much as I wanted to get home, I was very disappointed when we were landing because I wanted to keep reading. So far, I am loving it, completely engrossed in the story of the couple who are both teachers. The wife, Eve, who, I don't know what my take on her is yet. I feel like I go through Freida's books anymore very cautiously because I'm trying to not have a theory right away, and I'm trying to also enjoy it, but I don't know yet. I'm trying not to make opinions. As soon as I start making an opinion, I'm like, oh, careful. Because Freida has a way of making you think one way, and she also keeps information from you at times, which I'm not exactly happy with. I don't know what I think just yet. Of course, there's the student, and I feel like you're being set up to really think, and her name's Addie. You're really starting to, like, I feel like she's trying to push the reader, at least I feel like she is, push the reader towards thinking there's something nefarious about Addie. But when you're reading Addie, obviously she doesn't necessarily seem like that. She's given a little bit of clues as to, you know, something else is going on. But she's been accused of having an affair with an older teacher who ended up quitting. And I already know, I feel like a lot of people are going to be complaining about that as a storyline. It's a very sensitive topic about younger girls especially, and teachers or those responsible for kids having any kind of sexual relationship with, or an inappropriate relationship with. And I'm holding on any kind of opinion because we don't know what's going on just yet. She keeps saying she never had a relationship, and there is a scene where the one teacher, Eve, does see the teacher that had quit because of the controversy, and he had been drinking, but it does leave you with questions as to exactly what happened here. And I don't know if it's just Addie is really evil and had done something, but so far, I don't know. I don't know what to think. So I'm just gonna keep reading, trying not to have too many theories or opinions, and see how it goes. I'm probably gonna finish it quickly because the pages are just flying. It's gonna take me a day, or because I'm not even back to work for like 4 more days. So yeah, I'm gonna keep reading. But that is my first synopsis of how it's going and how I feel about the teacher so far.
No way. Oh no.
All right. I just read a chapter that was my first, I think, like, what? And it's surprising that it took that long for Freida. Maybe I'm just getting used to her. I'm not sure. But I know Amanda didn't want to do spoilers. And she wanted to, I think, still put like a spoiler section on the video or something like that. So I'm not sure if it is a spoiler if you say like what chapter something happened. So maybe this is the spoiler section of what I want to talk about. But at the last line of chapter 27, Addie just drops, you know, that's how it happens with these jaw-dropping moments, is all of a sudden someone just says something and you're like, what? So Addie just dropped something, some bit of knowledge about her and Hudson and something that they did. And I wasn't seeing that. I wasn't predicting that. Part of me thought maybe she had something to do with, okay, that's a spoiler, but something to do with her father's death, but not the way it happened. I wasn't expecting it just to be dropped in there. And I don't have necessarily a theory, but I'm thinking maybe something with the teacher, Mr. Tuttle, like maybe he either knew or found out, or I don't know, something around that. And that's why there was this like weird relationship that the school was investigating between them, even though she keeps saying nothing happened. And I don't know, I feel like there's some kind of web of connection in here, but yeah, so let's see what happens. All right, I read a bunch more. I am near page 200 and I'm feeling very uneasy. Me and Amanda were just texting because I feel like the relationship with Mr. Bennett and Addie is just very uncomfortable. But in thinking of what I've read of Freida and how many times she's twisting things around, and not to mention, I haven't seen anyone complain about being uncomfortable, or maybe they're just not giving spoilers away, but I haven't seen anything about an inappropriate relationship like between teacher and student. And again, Amanda, I apologize for any kind of spoilers. I'm just saying out there, and that's going to make editing that much harder. But it's hard when you're reading Freida just to not talk about it. So I had tried convincing Amanda to just do a spoiler-ridden vlog, but she mentioned putting like a spoiler section on or something. I don't know how she's gonna edit that. Anyway, I feel like Freida is doing this on purpose. She's setting us down a path to think one thing, just to kind of trick us, and something's gonna happen where it's not what you think. I don't know if, I mean, obviously something's going on with Mr. Bennett and Addie, but I don't know if I should just be angry about this situation, or is something else going on. I always feel like we're being withheld information and then you find out at the end. So I'm gonna reserve judgment and just keep on plodding through and see what happens. Let's see. I have a feeling I'm gonna finish this tonight. It's just going so fast. All right, let's see. All right, something that's bothering me is that women are usually much brighter, and it takes her friend, Eve's friend, to mention to her that Addie could potentially be like stalking or lurking outside their house because of her husband, Mr. Bennett, and then it dawns on her, oh wait, that's probably what's going on. And I'm like, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like women are usually smarter than that. So I feel like it's a bit of a plot hole. I don't know. All right, I didn't expect everything to happen as quickly as it's happening in terms of Eve finding out and now having evidence and now going to confront him. Things are escalating quickly. I'm starting to have a theory, and it reminds me of The Housemaid and what I felt about The Housemaid at the end. And I feel like it might be going to this place, possibly, is that there's revenge acted upon a man who has wronged the women, basically. And it's one of the reasons why I liked The Housemaid was how that one ended. And I don't want to sit here and give the huge spoiler of The Housemaid, but I feel like that's where this one is heading. Is obviously Mr. Bennett is a asshole and a jerk and a, you know, all the bad names. He's not a good person. And I feel like Addie is gonna end up, and possibly with Eve, gonna get revenge on him. How that's gonna play out, I don't know. So let's see. What is happening? Freida. The jack-o'-lantern and the raven, brilliant. But I'm up to part 3. Here we go.
Okay guys, I have finished The Teacher by Freida McFadden, and I overall really liked the book. I liked the final twist at the end. My major issue is just that there are some plot holes at the end of the book, and once you get the final twist, I feel like you should be able to reflect back on the book and it should all fall in place and make sense, and most of the questions should be answered. I do like it when everything's not exactly spelled out for you word for word. However, like I said, when you look back on the book after the final twist is revealed, everything should fall into place and add up and make sense. But with this final twist of the book, I kind of had more questions than answers. And I gotta say that while I was reading, the thought of this crossed my mind, this final twist, and I don't want to give away any spoilers, but it did cross my mind that this is the twist. However, I discounted it because I thought that doesn't add up and doesn't make sense. So when the final twist was revealed, I thought, and I looked back onto the book and I was hoping to have some clarification, but it still didn't come. And Jen did tell me that in some of the Freida McFadden reading groups on Facebook and McFadden's group, they did ask her and she did answer some of the questions. But for me, who's someone who's not a part of the groups, I don't have any Facebook at all. It was still a little bit confusing. The only other issue that I had with the book, and this is a little bit of a spoiler, so if you don't want spoilers, please fast forward ahead, is the sexual relationship between adult and children. And it's very hard to stomach. And it's just most of the situations, and this is addressed later in the book. That's why I don't mind it so much in this book. It is addressed when Eve is trying to tell Addie, you're being brainwashed. He's using you. She tried to warn her and say he's manipulating you and just using you. And Addie wasn't trying to hear it. And I do feel like in relationships like that, that is the case. And the child is so infatuated with the adult that they don't see it. And it was addressed. So the relationship was not romanticized. And if we all know Freida, at the end of her books, she likes to cast a female character as the villain. And in the end of this book, the Eve is no better than her husband was. And she's sleeping with a child, but she is also known as evil. But I think that's Freida's way of ending the book with an evil female character. Enough of that. I'm moving on to The Locked Door.
This ending. So last night I finished it, and there's obviously several twists at the end, and I'm going through and I'm just like, oh my God, yeah, typical Freida. And then she always seems to do this, like on the last 2 pages. I forgot how much she just gets you right at the end, and I was shocked. And it makes you rethink everything that you've read, almost looking for plot holes. How could that have been? And so then I went to record because I wanted to capture that reaction, and I was so stunned. I thought I was recording and I wasn't. I somehow took a picture of a shocked face, and it was a second long video really, but it just looks like a picture. And yeah, Freida. Typical Freida. I really loved it. There are reasons why I love it. I'm gonna go over everything after I read all 3, but I really, really enjoyed reading this one. And I immediately picked up the next one that we're reading, which is Locked Door. And I'm not that far. I'm already sucked in, but it doesn't take me long with Freida. So now we are on to Nora, who is a doctor. They at least call her, someone nicknames her a doctor in the beginning when she's at a bar. And already you start off kind of right into it, because someone she had performed surgery, gallbladder surgery, sees her in the bar, talks to her, starts harassing her basically. And she goes home and he's kind of still stalking her, harassing her. But at the same time, internally, she's remembering how her father is in jail for multiple life sentences because when she was younger, they found bodies in the basement of their home, and her father is basically a serial killer. And her mom had committed suicide in jail. This is all in the beginning, so it's not spoiler, I don't think, unless someone doesn't want to know anything about the book. So that's as far as I got. And it's not even that long. It's shorter than The Teacher. So this might be a one day, especially I'm off today and tomorrow. I have a feeling I'm going to get through these really quick. So, and we're off now to The Locked Door. All right, a couple things. I am over 100 pages with Locked Door. And I feel like I do this all the time with Freida, is I don't know if I'm being led down a path that she wants me to and making assumptions, or am I onto something and figuring out what's going on? It's the same struggle every time I read Freida. So I feel like the character Nora, she's having flashbacks. It's alternating between back when she was younger before her dad was caught, and then you get her older when she's a doctor and her dad's in jail for being a serial killer. And I feel like you're being led down a path of suspecting Nora had something to do with those murders. And I know she's a kid. I don't know how old she is, and that might be one of the twists in this. I don't feel like they tell you. They say how many years ago, but I don't think they ever give her age. So I don't know. Current day, her dad's in jail, and there is a seemingly copycat murder. His telltale calling card, I guess you would say, is he had chopped off the hands of his victims. And they called him the handyman. And so another victim, and she's being questioned as maybe having something to do with it, or even knowing what's going on. So I am caught between thinking, okay, is she doing this? Because there's a chapter where it ends, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, alluding to maybe she has a lot of her father in her. I don't know. I feel like I don't want to go down that road because I feel like Freida might be wanting us to think that, and then there's going to be a twist of something. So we'll see. I have a feeling it's going to be a jaw-dropping twist because Freida just does that. Another thing is, so I had already read The Teacher. Amanda and I were texting about it, and I made the assumption at the end that, and I can talk about this at the very end when I'm talking about all of them, but it's on my mind, so I want to get it out. And I had made the assumption, again, it might be spoilers, so if anyone's watching these and you don't want spoilers, probably a bad idea. At least skip my parts, maybe. So I thought Eve did know that Jay/Hudson was a high school student. Like, she's knowingly in a relation, well, not a relationship. I feel like they're in a situationship where it's, I don't know. She's getting something from him that I feel like she's not getting from anybody. And I feel like since it's known at the end of the book that she was a victim with Nate having been 15 years old and groomed by him when he was a teacher for her, that she has a lot of psychological damage from that, and how that plays out. You can either blame her or not blame her, you know, knowing she's an adult now, she should know better, whatever. But I feel like I saw very clearly at the end what Freida was giving us is she seems to always have these female characters that are strong in a lot of ways, but also have a lot of elements of like evil, and knowing what they're doing and doing it because, you know, they don't care. They're like, I've had enough. I'm just going to do what I want. I'm going to take what I want. And that seems to be the theme from a lot of the female characters at the end. That's why I always assume with Freida at the end that there's going to be multiple twists, but you're not necessarily going to want to root for that woman because it's complicated. Like, she has evil characteristics. So sometimes it seems valid with what she's doing, like burying someone alive because they are a creep and manipulating young women. But you also see that have an evil side to them that you can't quite justify their behavior. So yeah, I was on some discussion groups on Facebook, and this book is getting a lot of traction, a lot of dialogue. Everyone is like freaking out, talking about the ending. And Freida is in those groups answering questions and such. And she acknowledges that, yes, Eve did know Hudson/Jay was a student. She knowingly was having that relationship. So was she just as evil as Nate? I don't know. Because she was groomed when she was a teenager. So what kind of psychological damage did that do to her? It's a whole other book club discussion out there, and you can leave your thoughts in the comments if you read The Teacher. And there are, if you guys don't know, there are Facebook discussion groups that you can willingly talk spoilers, and I'm getting some of that out in there, so I'm not completely spoiling things here, though I'm pretty sure I did spoil some stuff. Anyway, gonna move on and read some more Locked Door. It is my last day of vacation today, so I'm gonna try and get as much done as possible. All right, Nora, 26 years earlier, you finally find out how old she is, and she's 11 years old, 11 or 12 years old when you're seeing these flashbacks. And she opens the door to go to the basement, and I was like, oh my God, this is going to be what happens. She is going to end up, you're gonna find out she was part of this somehow. And I feel like it's gonna end like that, even if you are told that she didn't do anything. I feel like at the very end, Freida always does that, where you're like, oh, okay, she didn't have anything to do with it. And then like the last 2 pages, it's gonna be that she helped her dad or something. And I already feel like they're hinting that she is hurting animals. So there's that. And also, I don't trust Philip, her partner at her medical practice. I feel like he's gonna be playing a role in everything that's happening. That's what I came on here to actually talk about, was I feel like he's the one that's behind things. That's my guess. It's on record. Let's see. Okay, so I'm reading, it's towards the end. I'm probably gonna finish this tonight. I'm reading towards the end, and I feel like Freida is setting it up like a red herring that the bartender Brady is behind this. And Nora is sitting there, and all of these things are adding up. And believe me, I do think it's weird that when they were younger in college that he had a mask of her father as a serial killer. I think that's a little weird. But I feel like it's all red herring. I don't feel like that's really who's behind everything. And she just mentioned, and that's why I wanted to record, she just mentioned how they had found a cup or a mug with her fingerprints at one of the victims' places, and that's why she is considered a suspect. But her glass or cup or whatever was missing from work, which is where Philip is. So I'm still on to Philip, not Brady, but let's see if I'm right. I was wrong. Damn you, Freida. I was wrong. All right, I finished, and as usual, she had some tidbits at the end that kind of twists some things you know in the book. I don't know how I feel about them, and I'm not entirely sure, like when you find out who it is and who the last victim was going to be, it doesn't fit how they were trying to frame Nora. Because if the whole time it was supposed to be dark-haired, blue-eyed women that were being murdered, that's not who the last victim would have been. I'm not entirely sure why they would have picked who they did. I don't know. I could have missed something, but I still really liked it. Freida is really good with the twists and the red herrings, so I still enjoyed reading this very much, even if I have a couple questions about the end. But now off to the next one, which I will record about when I start that book. And I'll let you guys know which book won of the 3 that I put the poll on the Facebook Freida group. And I will start that one next.
So The Locked Door by Freida McFadden has been very high on my want to read
from her. I'm always very curious to hear the stories of people who have been very close to serial killers in their lives and what the serial killers were like. I mean, to them, they just seemed like normal people and they probably didn't suspect anything. So I'm just always curious to hear their stories about, you know, what went on. Did anything seem weird to them? Were there any tells? You really never suspected anything. I know it's kind of hard for some people to understand that. How could you be married to a serial killer and not know what he was doing? And so this book really drew my interest in. And in this book, you're following the daughter of a serial killer. And when he was doing his murdering, she was a little girl. So I didn't really question her knowing or not knowing about it. But when she is a little girl, her dad gets arrested and her mom gets arrested for the murders of women. And he used to actually keep the women locked in his basement for a long time. So now that this little girl is all grown up, she has made a good name for herself. She's now a doctor. She's established herself. She's changed her last name. No one knows who she is. And she actually spends her work days saving people. She wants to save people's lives. So it's kind of a 180 from what her dad did. But she does have a little bit of a dark side. So constantly through the book, you are wondering, is she a serial killer too? Or is she not a serial killer? You know, did her dad rub off on her? I do not believe that there is a quote serial killer gene, that just because your parents did something, you're gonna do it too, anything like that. But I do believe that when you are exposed to, and especially grow up in an environment, some of those impressions that you get as a young child can wear on you and can change the way you think and look at things. So you just never know. This whole time you're reading the book, you do not know if she did it or not, and that's the big mystery of this book and the big twist. And you do find out at the end. Don't worry, it does get resolved. But I had no idea. I kept flipping back and forth between is she, isn't she, is she, isn't she. So if you pick up this book, I hope you read it and let me know what you think. And just like that, I am done with The Locked Door and am moving on to Ward D. These books go by so freaking fast.
Hey guys, I am going to get a pedicure, and I finished The Locked Door while I was in the library, and I really want to start reading Ward D, but I mean, is that rude? Like, can I start reading while I'm getting my pedicure? I don't know. What do you guys do when you go get pedicures? Do you read? Do you play on your phone? Do you talk to the person that's doing the pedicure? Like, I'm just curious.
All right, guys, I am on to the third Freida book, and I had put a poll up for the third one to help determine which one I should read. Amanda's going to be doing Ward D, and since I didn't get that one for Christmas, I got 3 others, and I thought it'd be fun for them to choose which one I should read because it is hard to choose. I do have one that I really wanted to read more than the others, but I was going to be persuaded by their opinion. And what's funny is they ended up picking the one I wanted to read. So the 3 choices are Do You Remember, Want to Know a Secret, and The Wife Upstairs. And The Wife Upstairs one, which is what I wanted. So let's dig in. All right, I'm about 100 pages in, and I feel like I may have been too much in Freida's world because I already feel like I can predict what's probably gonna happen. And it's really reminding me of Verity a lot, and maybe that might be part of it too, even though my predictions aren't what really happened in Verity, because it is different. There are details that are different with this one versus Verity. And I really loved Verity. I mean, Verity is very much in the vein of Freida McFadden. So if you read Verity and loved it and haven't tried Freida McFadden, for sure you would love Freida McFadden. So this one is about a girl, her name is Sylvia, she ends up getting a job almost by accident. And part of me feels like that is going to end up at the end as being that was orchestrated by the husband, who I'm forgetting his name. And it doesn't say on the back either. It just says Victoria's husband. I'm sure he has a name. Anyway, so Victoria had an accident. She had fallen down some steps, and her husband, who I can't seem to remember his name, and it's not on the back of the book, he is a famous writer. He's like the James Patterson, Tom Clancy, some huge famous writer, best-selling author. And she was in this accident in this home, and he hires Sylvia to help take care of Victoria. And to the point of where I have read, Sylvia is interacting with Victoria, and Victoria can't really, because of her injuries, her brain injuries from the fall, she can't really communicate well. She almost is like stroke victim, like part of her body she can't use. And she tries to communicate, has a hard time communicating. And she was trying to get Sylvia to look at something. And Sylvia ended up finding her diary. Victoria wanted Sylvia to read her diary. So you're slowly getting parts of what happened at the very beginning with Victoria and her husband. And I have a feeling that Victoria isn't really Victoria. Like, this person is someone else, because it's called The Wife Upstairs, and he's a writer and he writes in his attic. And I have a feeling that there might be another woman that's hidden that we're going to end up finding out about. And this was like the previous Sylvia that he had to, that he probably pushed down the stairs or something. Reading too many Freida books is because I can already anticipate something outlandish and crazy is going to happen. And my other thought had been that he for sure was behind her injury, and it might be the wife. I don't think she's faking her injury. So I have a feeling there's something just really out there that's going to happen, because that's just a Freida trademark. And I have a feeling even when I guess something outlandish, that doesn't even end up being what it is, and it's something else crazy outlandish. So I'm like over 100 pages. This one is about 400 pages, which is more than typical for Freida, but it's still going very fast. I don't anticipate this taking that long. So let's see if I'm right. Let's see what kind of crazy antics Freida is up to with this one. But I'm liking it so far. I'm very sucked in. All right, I'm headed into work, and I meant to do an update when I was still in the house, and I forgot to. So I'm just going to do it before I leave. So what I wanted to talk about is what struck me as I was reading this is the character Sylvia that you're mostly seeing from, other than the diary entries from Victoria. She isn't like highly suspicious, and things that seem to be like red flags that typically I feel like in other books the character would be anxious about and suspicious, and then trying to investigate. And what seems like a breath of fresh air for some reason, even if I'm like, really, you don't think that's suspicious, is that Sylvia is just kind of shrugging her shoulders, and she was like, well, oh well. And I'm sure that's going to change as it goes on, but I am very much appreciating that I don't have to deal with the constant like furtive sneaking around, afraid of getting caught because they are investigating, because I feel like that gets old after a while. And the other thing is, I don't think I talked about this yet, and it is because of Verity, I think, that I keep thinking of this. So for Victoria, she is getting fed through a tube, and he also gives her medicine. And something tells me that he is drugging her on purpose, either because he did something to her and it's too late now, he can't have her die or whatever, I don't know. And then I also thought is she the one that could be a killer or something violent with her, and he doesn't have the heart to kill her, so he's drugging her, or he's doing it because he's some crazy malicious wants to see her suffer situation. I don't know. I feel like there's something weird about that whole thing, and Sylvia just asked him about does she really need all that medication, because she doesn't like it and she like fights him when he's trying to give it to her. And he said it's for seizures that she was having after the accident, and it prevents it. So I don't know, I'm suspicious of it, but let's see what Freida has up her sleeve. I'm gonna read more when I get home tonight.
So Ward D is I would call it a closed door thriller. The main character you're following is locked in a place with people, and I really enjoyed that setting. I really enjoyed this book. The main character is locked in Ward D, which is a hospital wing that is locked down, dedicated for people that have severe mental disorders. And she is a medical student and she has to do a rotation here. She gets locked in overnight. She's really nervous and scared about it because of her past. She does have a history with a friend who has a severe mental disorder, and that scares her a lot. So she's already nervous going in. But when she gets there, everything's fine at first and things get a little crazy. Now, I love this because you do not know who to trust. The narrator is unreliable. And of course, her patients are unreliable. I mean, they are in there because they see things and they don't think rationally. So it's just really good. I just love a good mystery or thriller where you can't really trust anything anyone's saying and you kind of have to parse it out yourself. So great fun read if you like books like that. This is highly recommended.
All right, it's time for final thoughts, and you don't see me at the end reacting to The Wife Upstairs because I literally flew through the final chunk of that book. And that's a longer Freida book than normal, but it was just going so fast in terms of all the different twists and information you're getting at the end. And I literally couldn't put it down. So I'm gonna go in order and not keep talking about The Wife Upstairs. And so the three that we ended up reading are The Teacher, which we both read. Both of us went through these in the same order except for the last one, which we each read a different one. But we both read The Teacher and Locked Door, one after the other. And as you saw, I did a vote on the Facebook the Freida McFans. So they chose The Wife Upstairs, and I am very, very happy that they chose that one because I really enjoyed that one. So for The Teacher, I really like this one. I feel this one was just jaw-dropping again, like I felt with The Housemaid, and I really enjoyed the story and all the twists. I feel that there's a lot of controversy with this one right now, and I know I talk about it in one of the videos as I was recording the vlog, but even after that, I continue to see Facebook posts where people are just finishing it, and it's like the same reactions and questions again and again and again, and it's creating a huge amount of dialogue. I think she's hitting her peak in terms of how many fans and readers that she's getting. She might even go way higher than this, I'm not sure, but it's definitely creating. I haven't seen this much dialogue since probably The Housemaid, and even that one had like a slow burn in terms of how many people are reading this, but I feel like it's all at once with this one. And she just posted today that this is at the #1 New York Times bestseller for last week, which is fantastic for her. Congratulations, Freida, on having a #1 bestseller right out of the gate. I thought eventually she was gonna hit that because, as you've seen, me and Amanda have reading for a while, but she's even had fans before I discovered her. And it's just been building for a while, and I really truly believe she deserves it. She has such compulsive reads, and I can't wait till The Housemaid is Watching is coming out in June. And I didn't get the Barnes & Noble exclusive version of this. So unfortunately, because I couldn't wait, there goes my patience factor where I couldn't wait. And I got this at the airport, as you had seen. And I don't have the little bit of preview that the Barnes & Noble exclusive shows, which I am very tempted to go get it now because she's sharing a chapter or two of her newest release that's going to be in the fall. She has said on Facebook it's going to be, I believe she said October, and it's called The Boyfriend. So I can't wait to read even more from Freida. I'm sure we're going to do a vlog for both of those, and we still have books left to read by her. So I absolutely love this one. I gave it 5 stars. I just felt like it was jaw-dropping, and there were so many great things about it. Even if some of it was a suspension of belief, I still feel like this one was just a very enjoyable read. And The Locked Door, the 3, this was probably, I would rank this #3. And I wouldn't say least liked because I still enjoyed it. So I don't want to put any negative connotation on this one. But of the 3, this one would have ranked #3. And there was just some things at the end that I feel didn't add up, and it was the kind of stuff that bothered me because, believe me, a lot of her books are suspension of belief. And I've said this in the past, I always say that, and then you see a story in my news feed, like my Google news feed, or I don't know, Dateline, whatever, and you hear a story. Even Netflix has a couple of documentaries right now that I actually was talking to my friend Hannah, and I said it literally sounds like a Freida McFadden book, because there are crazy things that happen in real life. I mean, this isn't that crazy that some of this stuff wouldn't happen. There are some crazy people out there, and it's not just in a Freida McFadden book. But the couple things at the end, for some reason, were bothering me at the end of this book. So I ended up, I couldn't, for whatever reason, it was nagging at me. So that's why this one didn't get as great, but I still enjoyed it. I mean, I finished it, I think, literally in 24 hours. And then The Wife Upstairs. So my favorites are a tie because I don't know if I can choose between the two of these. I loved these two so much. And The Wife Upstairs is very similar to Verity, but there are some big differences too. I mean, it's weird because there are a couple points that are like right out of Verity, and I read that first. So if I read this and then Verity, I would have been saying it the opposite. But it does veer off completely from some of the things that were in Verity. You don't get a lot of concrete answers in Verity. I think Colleen Hoover purposefully let the reader make their own conclusions. And Freida does not do that. Freida gives you what happened. There's no question marks in this story. And I don't feel like this one was as twisty. There's a lot of buildup and you learn things along the way, but it isn't like huge, crazy twists. So you're learning a lot of things along the way. And some of them are, you know, I guess, I don't know if I'd say the word shocking, but some of the things you're learning are kind of surprising. And then the last like 50-ish pages, maybe even 100 pages, things are just like quickly happening. And especially the last few chapters, which is a la Freida, you always have a bunch of twists right at the end. And I have known to wait, and I had guessed a couple things with this one, and I did not guess the ending. I don't know if I ever actually guessed a full Freida ending. I'm pretty sure I didn't. Like sometimes I will guess a piece of it, and I did kind of guess a piece of this, but I mean, the full ending, no. No, she's just so good at what she does. Like, even when I know that she has like red herrings and she's trying to like give you the information after to blow your mind, even knowing that, I still have a hard time predicting her full endings. And I think that's why I enjoy them so much. So, yes.
What a ride. I love doing the Freida vlogs, y'all. I love reading these books. I feel like I could read every single one of her books back to back to back to back to back. And it would go by so fast and I would just have the best time. I'm not doing that. I'm pacing myself because we like to do vlogs when she releases new books. And The Housemaid Secret, which is the 3rd installment of the Housemaid series, is coming out in June. And The Boyfriend, which is going to be her next thriller, is going to be coming out in fall. Jen told me that Freida mentioned it's coming out in fall. I haven't been able to confirm a date yet for that. But if you got the Barnes & Noble edition of The Teacher, in the back there is a prologue for The Boyfriend. On the prologue, you're getting Tom's perspective, and he is the boyfriend, and it's only a page long. And then you get chapter 1, which is Sydney's perspective, which is his girlfriend, and how they meet, basically. So you're just to get a couple of pages of the next book, and I am so excited. If they were looking to get you amped up for Freida's next book called The Boyfriend, then these beginning chapters did it for me. I cannot wait until fall when she releases that book. There are so many good books coming out this year. But anyways, all I wanted to do here is kind of compare and contrast these books. You guys got my final thoughts in the voiceovers that I filmed for you all. But like, these 3 books are so strong. Like, these books are strong Freida books. Like, I'm thinking of all the books that I have read by Freida, and oh my gosh, like Never Lie was one of my absolute favorites. The X was one of my absolute favorites. Do Not Disturb was okay. I don't feel like that was a super strong novel for Freida, but you guys, anything Freida writes, I'm gonna just devour. I just devour her books. They're such quick, fun reads, like perfect for book slumps. If y'all are in a book slump, just pick up a Freida book. But I don't know, like my favorite between these, like I'm not sure. It's kind of a mix between The Teacher and Ward D. I really enjoyed both of these books. I feel like The Teacher is a little more complex. It is longer. It is a longer book. So you're getting more story. It just feels like very modern times, and it's just a little bit more complicated of a story than Ward D. But y'all, I love the setting of Ward D. A medical student is locked up in the ward of a hospital with people that are mentally unstable. I mean, hello, that is like a good setting. And then on top of that, the narrator, the medical student, is the female main character of this book, is also a little, it could also be a little unstable and unreliable. It's just like you don't know who to trust, and I love that. So it's really close between these 2. So I'm just gonna say they're both my favorites. Like I can't pick. You guys are making me choose and I can't do it. The Locked Door, also very good. Highly recommended. I really, really wanted to read this book very badly because of the premise of the book and the plot, and it just intrigued me, and it was really good. I don't feel like it was as strong as these other 2 as far as plot and pacing goes, but a really good book. It is better than other thriller. I mean, it is better than a number of other thrillers I have read, but when I'm just comparing Freida books to Freida books, it is not one of her stronger ones. But I mean, that being said, pretty much any Freida book that I have read so far could stand up to the best thrillers in the industry, in my opinion. In my opinion. I know that some people don't carry the same opinion, but that's okay because this is mine and you can have yours and we're fine. But I think that's it. That's all I have to say. If you all have any questions about these books or what they're about, should you read them or not read them, I don't know, just let me know. If you have read them, let me know what you think. Obviously, like I'm always always very curious to know what you all think, and I really like to have the dialogue in the chat so that we can talk about these books. I don't really have too many bookish people around me in real life, so I talk with Jen a lot about the books, but I would love to talk with some of you guys about these books too.
Freida continues to be one of my favorite authors. I will continue to be reading her for sure. And I have a feeling Amanda is also feeling the same way. And we will be doing vlogs in June and then again in, I guess, October, if that's when it is. I enjoyed very much as they went very, very quick. I enjoy doing Freida vlogs. They're my favorite. So thank you for coming along on our Freida ride. And until next time.